Nintendo is going to be holding a Nintendo Direct this September, and it's going to be a big, big Direct for you Zelda fans like me. Hey, I'm LittleBobby here with 59 Gaming Direct. Today we're going to talk about a reported September Nintendo Direct. It's going to feature some huge Zelda news, so let's get into it. But before we do, make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell so you can stay up to date with all the news, reviews, and other content we put out here on 59 Gaming Direct. And make sure you leave us a like and a comment on this video to help us with the YouTube algorithm and let us know what you think of this huge Zelda news. So let's jump in. So an article popped up today on videogameschronicle.com by Tom Ivan stating a Nintendo Direct featuring Wind Waker and Twilight Princess is reportedly coming in September. It's claimed the event will be a Zelda blowout and may also include a Metro Prime remaster. Ivan states that according to GamesBeat managing editor Mike Minotti and Giant Bomb reporter Jeff Grubb, who were speaking on a podcast earlier this week, to be clear, guys, the one thing we are very sure is being announced at this Direct are the Wind Waker and Twilight Princess ports for Switch, Minotti said. And this is absolutely massive news for Zelda fans because the Wind Waker HD and the Twilight Princess HD collections were both amazing. But the problem is that they were on a console that not a lot of people owned and played. It's pretty well known at this point that the Wii U was a commercial failure. It did not do well for Nintendo, and that's why they kind of took a step back from it so quickly once the Switch came out. Usually they would hold on to representing a system for a while, letting things keep coming out on it for several years after the switch to a new console. But with the Wii U, they retired it very quickly because they knew not a lot of people had it. So if you are a Zelda fan and you love the Wind Waker, you love Twilight Princess, but you never had a Wii U, now will be your chance to get into these HD remasters that were both so fantastic. Personally, I think that the Wind Waker HD is one of the best remasters that I've ever seen. I love the Wind Waker. It is one of my favorite Zelda games. Not a lot of people played it originally on the GameCube because it was a new direction for Nintendo to go with the art style for the Zelda franchise. The cartoony graphics turned off a lot of people, including myself originally. But once I finally got the game, because I'm such a big Zelda fan, and I played it, I realized how incredible it really was. And it has since become one of my favorite Zelda games and one of the ones that I think stands the test of time more than almost any other game in the series because of the graphics. The thing with the cartoony graphics is that they are timeless. They will not look worse because the cell shading is just cell shading, right? It's meant to look like a cartoon. It's why Cuphead still looks so amazing after all these years. It's been 5 years, and Cuphead, you fire that game up now, it looks just as good as it did when it first started because of the cartoon art style. And Wind Waker has the same thing going for it. Now, they did touch up the graphics, upscale the resolution so that you get an actual 1080p on the Wii U HD port instead of the original 480p maximum from the GameCube. But if we get that now and we have the really tight dungeon stuff, the really fun exploration of the quasi open world of the open sea that's present in the game, I think tons of people who never got to experience Wind Waker in the first place or never got to experience the quality of life changes like the better sailing, clear mission and quest design and ease of like the grind in some of the parts of the game. I think that Wind Waker HD being on the Switch is one of the big things that is going to hit hard for Nintendo, and it's going to plug that gap before we get the sequel to the Breath of the Wild that I know if you're a Zelda fan, you're waiting for, because I know I've been waiting for it and I'm a huge Zelda fan. The other thing is the Twilight Princess. The Twilight Princess is a really fantastic game. It's kind of overlooked. It's a really very linear style, very much like Ocarina of Time, and some people consider it to be kind of the dark spiritual successor to Ocarina of Time. Obviously, Ocarina of Time had the direct Majora's Mask sequel, but Twilight Princess really falls into that Ocarina of Time mold of you're going here, you're going there, you're going on a grand adventure. There's not a lot of going out and seeing where things are, but it doesn't make it any less of a fantastic game. And the Twilight Princess HD port is so beautiful. I must say, a lot of the things that were kind of weird about the graphics get touched up, and it presents itself as a really awesome and beautiful story in the Zelda timeline. With the story of Link helping Midna and rescuing Zelda yet again, being part of the story and the big climactic fight with Ganondorf in the end. I think this game is going to be the one that really is released to set up the events of Breath of the Wild 2 or the sequel to Breath of the Wild, because we see that Ganondorf in the original Breath of the Wild trailer being resurrected. It's very likely that that's the same Ganondorf from Twilight Princess that was locked away in the Twilight Realm. It all depends on how they choose to put this game in the timeline and where they decide that Breath of the Wild and that era really sits in the grand Zelda timeline. Having these two games come over to the Switch would also be kind of following the tradition of most of the major Wii U games making their way to the Switch eventually. And the reason is, again, the Wii U was not a commercially successful console for Nintendo. After the Wii and after that thing blew up and the 3DS, they were riding high. The Wii U is such a great console, probably Nintendo's most underrated in their entire lineup of consoles, but a lot of people just didn't buy into it because they thought, oh, it's just some kind of upgrade of the Wii. It really wasn't. It was kind of a powerhouse for its time, and it was the precursor to the Switch. Like, I could sit there and be playing Wind Waker on the handheld version, hanging out with my roommate while he played his PS4 back in the day. And it was a really cool thing to be able to do. So it's kind of like the idea of the Switch was born from that. Instead of, though, having just a single part that you can take, but you can't really take too far from the console, they decided to turn the whole console itself into the Switch. Now, later on in the article, Jeff Grubb said he'd heard from a quote-unquote pretty good source that the event will take place during the week beginning September 12th. So that is just 2 weeks away. So hopefully we can get something from Nintendo officially on this pretty soon. I would love to see it. That way I can know and we can bring you guys exactly what gets brought out in that video. And one of the last things that they are speculating on is that the Metroid Prime remaster, the very, very highly anticipated remaster of an old GameCube favorite, might be coming at this event as well. It is a lot of remasters for one event, right? For Nintendo to come out and go, hey, we're doing a big event, and then it's almost all remasters. But at the same time, I think with the Zelda community being so hungry for Zelda content, right? We've been waiting years for Breath of the Wild 2. Nintendo, every year since Breath of the Wild, has given us some sort of Zelda game. It would be odd if they didn't do that this year. And the timing, as Jeff Grubb notes here, is perfect for the 20th anniversary of Metroid Prime this November. So with all of these things being considered, I'm going to have a lot of stuff on Switch to buy this coming holiday season. Hopefully, maybe I can get one or two things for Christmas, or I can work some extra hours and get some overtime and afford all these things that are coming out this holiday season. But Metroid Prime, if that's on the docket too, that is going to be 3 huge titles that I have to pick up for Switch just in time for the holidays and maybe buy some as gifts too. But what do you guys think about this? Are you guys excited? Do you guys want to see Wind Waker HD? Do you want to see Twilight Princess HD? Are you hyped for a Metroid Prime remaster? I know I am hyped for all 3 because those are 3 of the best titles from like that kind of era of Nintendo, the GameCube era, that I played. And I would love to have those in HD glory on my Switch. But let us know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching today. I've been LittleBobby here with 59 Gaming Direct. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Leave us a like and hit that comment section with your thoughts on all this news that we got about a Nintendo Direct possibly coming up in the next few weeks. Thanks so much for watching, and we hope to see you soon.